policía de San Francisco.
En 2020.
¿Quién eres?
Soy Sonic. Básicamente voy a tener que salvar tu planeta. Si tienes seguro, ¿verdad?
Es súper rápido.
¡Qué divertido!
Es súper amigable.
Se supone que eres el mejor amigo de Tom. Pues no veo el atractivo. ¡No!
Él es Super Sonic.
¿Entonces qué? ¿Nos vamos?
Sí, hay que irnos.
Sonic, la película.
¡Estoy bien!
Alright, so I know it's been a while since I've done a standard David Definitive Edition video on a single movie like I normally do. I have no idea why it's taking me so long to actually get to doing one. But hey, here we are. We're done with the quick links for a little bit for right now. That's not true actually. I'm going to do one on like Superman and Fantastic Four when those come out. Here we are, finally a regular David Definitive Edition video on a movie that I wanted to talk about back in December, but I did not get a chance to. It is Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, the movie phenomenon that started a new movie franchise for Sonic the Hedgehog that has been going pretty well, honestly, very successful. The recent movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, was not only really good, it was also a big hit with general audiences. Now people are not as embarrassed to say they're Sonic the Hedgehog fans, which is overall really great. As a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, I genuinely think it's really awesome to see that the franchise is in a better place, especially in the public eye. You know, we're straying away from like the bad parts of the fandom and like some of the games and like parts of the series that were really focused on in the 2010s. I think this movie franchise has been a really big help in that, which is weird to say because if for a long time it looked like this movie was going to be like an embarrassment on Sonic the Hedgehog, which it already faces quite a bit of, if we're being honest. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So let's go ahead and like, you know, talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2020 and how, you know, it did a lot of good for the franchise, even though it did not look like it was going to. Alright, so obviously we have to start with something really scary. Before the movie came out in 2020, it was originally slated for 2019, and even before that, a Sonic the Hedgehog movie had been in development for a long time. There have been many attempts and different ideas that were thrown around, but then Paramount got a hold of the rights, and they were planning a film to release in 2019, and some, you know, some screenshots, some, you know, behind-the-scenes stuff was leaked, some concepts for what Sonic's design would look like. It didn't look that promising, you know, people weren't really liking it, but you know, still, it's just like leaked stuff. It couldn't be the official thing. But then, in 2019, a trailer dropped, and we saw this. So yeah, everyone hated that trailer and that design for so many reasons. Like, first of all, I mean, the obvious thing is, you know, this. What is that? That is not Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, it looked ugly. It looked almost nothing like the actual Sonic design, and it looked like they were kind of trying to make him look more real. That attempt, it gave off more of an Uncanny Valley vibe, and it was just really bad. And also the trailer itself wasn't good. Like, looked like another one of those, oh, classic character going into the real world type of movie, which, like, you know, people don't like. You know, things like Smurfs. Or another example that I can't think of, Smurfs is the only thing that comes to my mind right now. The trailer had the song Gangster's Paradise by Coolio in it. I have no idea what that was about. I like the song, but like, what does it have to do with Sonic the Hedgehog? He's not a gangsta. He's not in a paradise. What is going on? Yeah, the trailer did not get a good response. You know, it was very hated. I hated it, honestly. It ruined my day when I saw it. Everyone was asking Paramount to change the design. They were like, we don't like this, please change it. And they actually said yes. They were going to change the design. The movie was delayed to 2020, and they were going to change up the design. And there have been some talks on whether or not this was like a thing that was challenging on the artist or not. I heard some people say, oh, how could they do that? You know, it's like extra work on the artist. And others were saying, like, actually it was a really easy fix or something like that. I don't know. I probably should have looked more into it before I did this video. But like, essentially the design was changed up, and I hope it wasn't too hard on the artist or anything. The new design that we got, genuinely really good, you know? When the new trailer dropped, everyone was like, okay, that looks better. But because of that, you know, bad first response, everyone was still certain this movie was not going to be good. Especially since even the later trailers, while, you know, the design was better, it was still filled with the stuff that people didn't like before. Like, oh, Sonic going into the real world, it didn't really look like it had all the stuff from the games. It's like, this is just going to be bad, it's going to suck. So the question was, would the movie actually be good? You know, not just with the new character design, obviously, but would it at least be good? And the answer was, yeah, kind of. What is the actual movie about? Well, I really hope you weren't asking that question, because it would mean that I would not actually have to tell you, because I've mentioned many times before, I do not like describing plots because I'm not good at it, but I have to anyway, so here we go. The plot follows Sonic the Hedgehog, and he comes from another world that looks like the games, and we don't see that world often. But there's loop-de-loops, there's green hills, it's got the music from Sonic Mania, it looks really nice. And he has a parental figure, Longclaw, who is a big owl, who is not from the games at all, that I'm aware of. Seems to care for Sonic when he was a kid, but after some stuff happens, Longclaw dies. And Sonic is now in our world, in a little town called Green Hills, because, you know, video game reference. And Sonic has to be on his own and try to survive, but he can't really communicate with anyone there, so he just kind of like stalks everyone. And he has like a very parasocial relationship with the sheriff, Tom, and his wife, Maddie, who's a veterinarian. Tom is played by James Marsden, and Maddie is played by Tika Sumpter. You know, after getting emotional, he accidentally lets out like a blast of energy or something like that, and the government catches wind of this, and so they send in Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, and his assistant Agent Stone. These two have to figure out what's going on. Robotnik is very much a weirdo here, who is fascinated by a creature who can, you know, release such energy. And Sonic, of course, feels like he's in trouble, so he tries to use his rings that can transport him to other places to go to a new world and have to say goodbye to Earth. But after Tom accidentally makes him lose his rings, you know, he has to help him out and take Sonic to San Francisco, where the rings were last sent. And they go on a road trip. Yeah, who doesn't love road trips? And Tom helps him get there. But as the road trip goes along, they actually grow closer, and they become friends. And then by the end, you know, Sonic is able to beat Robotnik. He's able to stay on Earth because Tom and Maddie are cool with that. I know that probably sounded bad, but keep in mind, it was me describing the plot. I think the plot itself is, you know, it's fine enough. I mean, I enjoyed the movie when I first saw it. I thought, yeah, that was pretty good. It didn't really have much to do with Sonic himself, but hey, you know, it could have been worse. I definitely think I was kind of going in with, like, not a negative mindset, but a little bit of a worried one because of, like, everything that came before it, like the marketing and stuff. So I was just like, hey, you know, this turned out actually not bad, so I was genuinely surprised. But on rewatch, I definitely noticed more and more, like, oh yeah, this movie does kind of reek of that sort of, like, Hollywood stuff that, you know, that doesn't really try to incorporate much from the actual source material, but like it's still entertaining. I still like every time I watch this movie, I still like am not bored by it, and like I do enjoy it. In fact, let me go ahead and talk about the stuff that I actually enjoy about this movie. Before I do that, I want to ask you something. Do you have money? Do you want to give that money to someone who really wants it? Well, guess what? I really want money, and you can do so by going to my Patreon. That's right, I have a Patreon. I brought it up a few times, and you know, I'm gonna try to put some more exclusive videos on there. You get some perks like seeing videos early. It even helps suggest what other videos I could do in the future, like which topics I could discuss, and depending on the tier, I could even make an exclusive video for you talking about whatever you know you want me to talk about. No weird stuff though. And I'm going to try to put some more exclusive videos on there. I have some planned. Any of that sounds interesting to you? If you want to see some more stuff of me, you know, and you want to help me out, I would really appreciate it. So go ahead and do that. Anyway, enough with the shilling. Let's get back to talking about Sonic. I think this movie has genuinely good performances. The standouts, of course, being Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog and Jim Carrey as Robotnik. I really like how they do these characters, even if they're not entirely like they are in the games, but I do think it works for what this movie is trying to go for. For example, Ben Schwartz's Sonic is, instead of being like this sort of cocky, gotta go fast character who's always like kind of confident, he's very much more like a kid who's like, still has like that overconfidence, but is like very much more like awkward about it. Like I said, he has very parasocial relationships with others, like he kind of like feels like he's part of the crowd when he really isn't, and like he's a little bit of a weirdo, but I think it works because in this version Sonic is alone. He doesn't really have his friends that he has in the games. He doesn't have a Tails, he doesn't have Knuckles yet, he doesn't have Amy, all that stuff. Everything is still like new to him. And so I do think that this works. And in the franchise, we kind of see him like kind of grow to become the Sonic we know from the games. Very much like kind of what they did with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. Some people say, hey, that's not good. I kind of want the character to be like they already are in the source material and not just kind of have to grow through multiple installments to be the version that I recognize. And like, yeah, that's fair, but I feel like it works here, so I don't really mind it all that much. Ben Schwartz is genuinely a really fun performer, especially in voice acting. Like, it is a goal of Ben Schwartz to play every iconic blue character in animation. He's Dewey in DuckTales, he's Leonardo in Rise of the Ninja Turtles, and now he's Sonic. Who will he play next? I don't know. Maybe they'll bring him in for the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends reboot. He'll play Blue. You know, line deliveries are generally really good, and it sounds, and I think even the few times he does get emotional, like that scene where he's like running around really fast after realizing he's all alone, and then he like has that burst of energy. I think that was well done. I think he genuinely gets better as the movies go on, because I feel like he just does care about this role. Ben Schwartz is, like, in my opinion, one of the best Sonic performers out there, up with, like, I don't know, Roger Craig Smith and like Jaleel White. Other examples, I know other Sonic voice actors, I swear. Ben Schwartz is good in this, and I like it. Listening to the audio commentary with him and Jeff Fowler, the director of the film, and apparently with all of his like voiceover roles, he tries to throw in like a catchphrase in there, which is nailed it, and he says that as both Dewey in DuckTales, which I remember hearing him say that a few times, and I think he might have said it in Rise as well, as Leonardo, so I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. You probably don't find it interesting. This whole part right here was probably a complete waste of time for you. Jim Carrey is really fun as Robotnik. You know, Jim Carrey is like honestly a really fun performer as well. He can be really funny in here. I found him really funny as just how much of a weirdo Robotnik is and how stuck up he is as well. Like he thinks he's like the best, most intelligent person in the room. And you know, it can be really funny sometimes. I will say like not every joke lands, but a good amount of them do. He's not exactly like Robotnik, but Robotnik, at least to me, has never had like a consistent personality. Like I remember back when I did a video on the live action Grinch movie, I said that I didn't really like his Grinch because it just wasn't like the Grinch that I personally really like, where it's like, oh, kind of just like a cranky guy who like is just like annoyed by everything, and in the movie they make him like this eccentric weirdo with all these like crazy movements, and it was just like a bit too much, at least for me personally. I do a similar thing with Robotnik here, where he's also like this very eccentric weirdo, but for Robotnik it doesn't bother me as much because with the Grinch, at the time there was really only one other interpretation of him, which was the animated one. With Robotnik, there's like many versions of Eggman that are wildly different from each other. The Sad AM version is very different from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog one. The video game one can also range from being like kind of threatening to just be an evil loser. And Sonic Boom, we all know how different that Sonic, that Robotnik is as well, that Eggman. Like no real consistency, it kind of just depends on what the vibe of like the, you know, the version is. I honestly think that I'm okay with this version of Robotnik. And like I said, I think it works. I find him funnier here than I did in the live action Grinch. Yeah, I don't know, I think it fits, and I like his dynamic with Stone, where he like kind of just like is really mean to him, but Stone is still loyal to him, and some of this also just comes from knowledge of like how they use them later on in the films, like, and that's kind of the same thing for Ben Schwartz Sonic. I like it in this because it also reminds me of like, oh, what they'll eventually do with the characters in the next two movies. So and honestly, rewatching this movie and now knowing like, hey, how the rest of the movie series goes, it does change my viewpoint on some of the things in this movie like a bit more. Like I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I like, you know, maybe at the time people were all like, I'm not into this, but like for me, like, hey, I remember liking it, and like now knowing where it goes, I'm like, yeah, I still like it. Something else that I like about this movie are the human characters, mainly Tom and Maddie, and also Wade, played by Adam Pally. I like Wade. Tom and Maddie, I think they're enjoyable in this. I like them. I think they're charming. I think James Marsden and Tika Sumpter do a good job playing them, and I enjoy seeing them later on in the other movies. Some people will say we get a bit too much of them, and also a little bit too much of Maddie's sister in the second movie, but that will be for whenever I talk about Sonic 2. I'm just talking about Sonic 1 right now. And here, I think they're good. I like the dynamic between Tom and Sonic in this. And James Marsden, I think, is a charming actor. I genuinely think he's like a really good actor that has given really good performances. Like, I liked him in Enchanted. And, like, his Cyclops is actually, that's not a good example. I don't like his Cyclops. I just don't like the way that character's written. They really did Cyclops dirty in those X-Men movies. Hopefully they do him justice in Avengers Doomsday. James Marsden, he's a good actor, and I think he's done good performances before. I kind of wish he got better movies. I say that as if this isn't a good movie. It is a good movie. I like it. But like, you know, I think he deserves like sometimes just a little bit more, But I think the human characters overall in these movies are genuinely good. Like, I like them at least, and I don't really see that many other people be annoyed by them, except maybe in the second movie, which again, that'll be for whenever I talk about that movie. And I mentioned this earlier, but Sonic got a new design in this film. There was a design in the trailer which everyone hated. It's been made fun of by a lot of people, including Chip and Dale and Conan and O'Brien. And yeah, that it was bad. And thankfully we got a new one designed by Tyson Hesse. I hope I said that right, Tyson Hesse. He's a guy who's worked on the Sonic franchise before, and he did the new design for this film, and it is genuinely really good. I like it a lot. It looks both like, you know, it looks like Sonic. Like, when I look at this, I'm more like, yeah, I think that's Sonic. That is Sonic the Hedgehog. It looks different enough to make it its own thing, but still has the vibe that this is Sonic the Hedgehog, and he looks cute. I like it. And the movie just generally overall has some like really fun moments to it. Like, I like the bar scene where like Sonic like so fast that time stops for a bit, and so then he just moves everything around like Quicksilver, or like the squirrel from Over the Hedge. Like the chase with Robotnik on the highway. I think that's good when they're being like hunted down by his like robots. And I like the other chase with Robotnik, where Sonic is using the rings as portals and going around the world, and Robotnik's chasing him. And I like that the ending battle with Robotnik essentially boils down to Sonic just having to jump on him multiple times like he does in the games. And like occasionally the movie, whenever it does reference something from Sonic, like a piece of video game music, or like I said, that the final battle was just him jumping on Robotnik, I like that. I wish there was more of that, which I'll get into later, but I do like it. Like I said before, I do like what they do with Sonic in this movie. I like that his thing with Tom is that he really does not want to go back. He really does not want to go to another place. He likes it here on Earth, but you know, unfortunately, it looks like that's the only choice that he has left. But with his time with Tom, he learns to like, hey, he can actually experience a little bit more of life than what he had before when he was just by himself. And Tom kind of realizes that the town that he lives in is actually really good, and you know, he can like appreciate what he has here because he is important. He is a big deal here, and he doesn't have to move to San Francisco in order to make like something out of himself, because he kind of already has, and Sonic kind of helps him realize that. I genuinely think that's good. The movie is entertaining, is what I'm saying. You know, I am entertained by it. I have a good time watching it. As I rewatch the movie every now and then, I do notice a few more problems that, you know, I didn't really think about all that much before, but I do see them now, and I'm going to talk about that, essentially, is what I'm saying. I'm just going to go to the next segment. So this is a movie that has Sonic in it, but unfortunately it's not really a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It doesn't really have that much that actually references the franchise itself. Like, there's only like 2 parts of the movie that have like actual Sonic music, at the beginning when they play Sonic Mania music, and towards the end when they play a piano version of the Green Hills theme. And of course, I mentioned the beginning has the loop-de-loop, he's in like the Green Hill Zone, but after that it's just, hey, Sonic's in the rest of the movie, Robotnik's in it, but his Batniks, or like his robots don't really look like the robots he makes from the game. They just kind of look like, oh, white robots that vaguely resemble like his actual robots, and by that I mean like they're egg-shaped, and sometimes he makes egg-shaped robots. You know, his outfit is also, hey, kind of Robotnik-ish, but not really as well in some cases. And even the plot of the movie feels something that you could do with any cartoon character, like, or like just a character in general. Like, oh hey, here's an animated character, and he came to the real world, and he's helping out some white guy with whatever problem he's going with. And you know, like some people even make comparisons to this movie and Hop, which also has James Marsden. And when your movie is being compared to Hop in some way, that's probably not a good sign. And also, the movie is not always the funniest. Like, I remember it being funnier than like it actually was. Like, maybe, I don't know. Again, some of it comes down to the fact that I was kind of like going in a little bit worried and being surprised that the movie was not terrible. Like, I was just like, hey, this is really good. But in reality, it's just like kind of just okay. I think I just was kind of unfortunately going with low expectations, even if I didn't know that. But like, yes, this movie is not the funniest. I do think some parts are pretty funny, but other times it's like, not really. But that is kind of true for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise as well. Like, if you look at the games, there are moments that are funny and some moments that are also just kind of cringe. That's just par for the course for Sonic the Hedgehog. Again, I just kind of wish they added more stuff from the games. Like, the story itself, again, like I said before, it kind of reeks of that Hollywood-ness where, like, oh, they kind of just take the premise of, like, a classic character going to the real world. And while it's not horrendous like some other movies that have done this before, like Smurfs or something, it still kind of has some of that vibe to it as well. But out of all the movies that do that, Sonic the Hedgehog is probably one of the better ones. Obviously, it's a good thing that they changed the design because, well, first of all, it was ugly and the new design is genuinely better. But I do think that it helped this movie a lot more in a lot of cases because imagine an alternate world we're just kind of stuck with that design for this movie. And, like, maybe nothing would have changed. Like, it would have been exactly the same, but it just would have had an ugly Sonic. A terrible Sonic. So not only would it not feel like a Sonic movie, the Sonic itself wouldn't even look like Sonic. So, you know, at least with this movie, like, yeah, it doesn't really feel like a Sonic movie, but, like, the character looks like Sonic. So I guess that was a good enough start to, like, eventually lead to Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, which I do think are genuinely better movies that actually feel like Sonic movies. And maybe if this movie had stuck with that design, they were all like, no, we're not changing it, we're gonna stick with this, we think it looks good, it doesn't, then this movie probably would have done badly and then we would have not gotten anything else. So, you know, I don't know, I could be wrong, maybe this could have continued with that design. I low-key wish we get to see what a version of this movie with that design would look like. I'm assuming it would be exactly the same. The only difference is that the Sonic in the movie would just haunt my dreams like every day. You know, I think they should release that. You know, enough with the Snyder cuts, the Ayer cuts, the whoever directed Fantastic Four. And I don't care about that stuff. I want to see the Sonic the Hedgehog ugly Sonic cut. You know, put that on the next, like, put that on the Criterion Blu-ray. I do think changing the design helped more than just, like, hey, making it look more appealing. It also kind of helped people, like, go, like, yeah, movie's fun. I would watch more of it, I guess. And then we did get more of it. And, hey, the franchise genuinely got better after that. So, you know, I think that's a good. So, overall, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is a movie that I like. I liked it quite a bit when I first saw it, but as I rewatched it, and as the future Sonic movies I do genuinely think are better and actually feel like Sonic movies, it kind of made me realize that this movie, yeah, it's just okay. Some people would even say it's just straight up bad. I have one of my friends actually said they don't think it's a good movie at all. And honestly, that's fair. I can see why. Like I said, it doesn't really feel like a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It still has some of that lame Hollywood stuff that has plagued other famous classic character movies. But I do think the movie is entertaining enough. I think there's good stuff in it, and it was a good start for what would lead to a fun movie franchise after this. Honestly, something that would lead to a brighter age for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Now, I don't feel half as embarrassed to say I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan because, hey, the media outside the games is getting really better. Like, I like the IDW comics. I think the, you know, some of the games, I have good moments in them, and I'm excited for the future of what they do, even if, like, you know, some things occasionally still kind of go like, oh yeah, you know, that's not great. And, like I said, the movies themselves are generally well-liked, and even, like, getting popular with general audiences. Audiences liked a movie that had Shadow the Hedgehog in it. That is honestly, like, a dream come true for me. People are really excited for the fourth movie, which looks like it's gonna have Amy and Metal Sonic, and I think that is really cool as well. I also really hope they put Silver in one of the upcoming movies. I really like Silver. I think he's great, so yeah, that's what I want. I just want to voice Silver. So yeah, thank you, Sonic the Hedgehog 1. You're not the greatest movie out there, but you are fun, you are enjoyable, and you led to something really good. You led us to get Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and it's awesome toy line. I love the toys so much in that. That's all I got for now, and yeah, get ready for more. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. No, I'm not. Get ready for more David Definitive Edition videos to come out. Hopefully by then, when those videos come out, I'll actually have a good transition to an ending